Today we're looking at the Fertile Crescent. Hello, welcome to the Daily Bellringer. Please don't forget to subscribe and take a look at the questions down in the description. Also, don't forget to check out dailybellringer.com where you'll find more resources that go with many of the Bellringer videos. Sometimes referred to as the Cradle of Civilization, the Fertile Crescent is an area in what today is called the Middle East, in which evidence of the first civilizations to form is found. The Fertile Crescent stretches from the Persian Gulf to the Mediterranean Sea through modern-day countries such as Kuwait, Iraq, Syria, Turkey, and Israel. Ancient people were drawn to this area because of its abundance of rich, fertile land to farm and grow crops. The key to this region having such fertile land was the rivers that flow through the Fertile Crescent, the Tigris and Euphrates rivers. The land between these two rivers became known as Mesopotamia, which is the Greek word for land between the rivers. Each year, ice melt and runoff from mountains just to the north of the Fertile Crescent would cause the Tigris and Euphrates rivers to break their banks and flood the area. Although today floods are considered to be disasters, to the ancient people of Mesopotamia they were a blessing. The muddy waters of the Tigris and Euphrates would flood and then recede, leaving a thick layer of silt or fine particles of soil covering the ground. This muddy silt was full of nutrients and minerals perfect for growing and harvesting crops. The people of Mesopotamia depended on the yearly floods and began building irrigation systems to collect and harness the river's water. As early as 6000 BC, there is evidence of early villages beginning to appear along the banks of the Tigris and Euphrates. And by 3200 BC, at the southern end of the Fertile Crescent, the first cities and civilization began to form in an area known as Sumer. Some of the earliest cities, such as Uruk, Lagash, and Nippur, were built by the ancient Sumerians and had populations of thousands of residents. The communities operated as city-states, or in other words, a city that controls the surrounding farmland and operates as their own independent political unit. Basically, small little countries unto themselves with their own government, leaders, and military. They were all in the region of Sumer, but beyond that, these city-states were on their own and would fight for control of the region. One commonality these city-states shared was their religious beliefs and practices. Like most early civilizations, they were polytheistic or believed in many different gods and goddesses. Ancient Sumerians believed that there were different gods that controlled every aspect of their lives, from the wind that blew to the water that flowed down the rivers. In fact, each city-state even had its own individual god. They believed that the gods had to be appeased or kept happy, so the ancient Sumerians prayed to them and offered sacrifices. Each city-state built its own religious temples, known as ziggurats. These step pyramid structures became a focal point for the early city-states, as some were built as high as 300 feet tall. Not surprisingly, religious leaders also served as political leaders in these early cities. Soon, though, warrior kings took control of the city-states and set up a system of heredity as one generation of rule was passed to the next within a family. The Fertile Crescent was also the location of major technological advancements and inventions for ancient people. Arguably, the greatest invention of Mesopotamia was the wheel. Around 3500 BC, the first wheels were not used for transportation, but rather as potter's wheels for people to make pottery. Over the next centuries, people began using the wheel to transport goods, and it would not be until 2000 BC that we see the first spoked wheels being used. Additionally, mathematicians and astronomers of the Fertile Crescent developed a system of time, dividing it into 60-minute hours and 60-second minutes. By studying the movement of the sun, moon, and stars in the sky, they developed a calendar that included 12 separate periods, which today we would call months. They too developed one of the earliest known systems of writing, known as cuneiform. Written into clay tablets, cuneiform was first invented as a system for priests to record the amount of grains and goods being stored at the temple and traded. Although most cuneiform that has been found primarily deals with trade and the surplus of food, some recorded the actions of rulers and the people of the ancient Fertile Crescent. Over the centuries, the Fertile Crescent would see armies of conquerors sweeping through the region, with some of the first known empires being established and then being overrun. The Akkadians, Babylonians, Assyrians, and Persians would all at one time control the region, leaving their mark on the region's history and culture. So with that, hopefully you learned something, and thanks for watching.